So good morning, everyone, and welcome to Meet the Expert. My name is Karen Caraballo, and I'm a patient and family specialist here in the Patients Library and Welcome Center. And we present these sessions each Tuesday and Wednesday at 10 a.m. And today's topic is Rest Better, Live Better, Sleep Tips for a Refresh You. So before we get started, I just have a quick disclaimer. The content in this presentation is not intended to be medical advice, and the viewers should consult the physician if they have any question. Also, not related information contained in this presentation for immediate or urgent medical needs. And if you think you might be having a medical emergency, call your physician, go to the nearest emergency department, or call 911 immediately. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in taking care because you watched this presentation. Additionally, today's session is being recorded, so we have turned off cameras and muted microphones to better protect your privacy. So if you have any question, please use the Q&A section or the chat to type any question that you will have for our expert. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Tina Mason, who is an advanced practice oncology nurse and currently working as a director of nursing research here at Moffitt. And one of her main areas of expertise is cancer-related fatigue and sleep hygiene. So with that, welcome, Dr. Mason.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to start off by talking about hours of sleep we need per day. So most of us on the call are, I'm assuming, adults, so we need 7 to 9 hours per night. And if you are a person who says, I get 4 to 5 hours and I feel great, I'm hoping to convince you that you still need a couple more hours. This is one way to look at the sleep cycle as 4 stages. Light sleep, about 1 to 7 minutes. And this is kind of where you start to doze off in a meeting, perhaps, or you start to daydream. And stage 2 is light sleep. So it's very easy to wake you up. So again, this might be in front of a TV where you're just lightly sleeping, but you're still kind of aware of all the noises going on around you. Stage 3, 20 to 40 minutes. This is the most important stage of sleep. This is when our body heals itself. So our immune system is trying to replenish white blood cells, that sort of thing. Our inflammatory processes try to slow down. So if you have arthritis or inflammation, that should get better. But overall, your body's trying to rebalance itself. And then stage 4, most people call it REM, or rapid eye movement. And this is where we have our most vivid dreams. Now, you could dream in all stage 4 stages, but stage 4 is where you're going to have the bizarre dreams, maybe a nightmare or a night terror, or just weird. So if you wake up during stage 4, you're probably going to feel a little bit disturbed. Even if it was like, why was I dreaming about that? But we want to wake up ideally during stage 2, because that's the best time. We're going to be most relaxed. And if you wake up during stage 3, you're going to feel groggy, even if you slept 7 to 9 hours. And that's a sign that your body did not want you to wake up yet. And we can't help it. If we got to get up for work and we have an alarm clock, the alarm clock goes off when it goes off. So we can't always help that. So what are different causes of sleep disturbances for all of us, but patients too? Dementia, heart and lung disease, because we're not going to sleep well. If you have to get up a lot during the night to urinate, so that could be someone who has a benign prostate, or we're giving you lots of IV fluids and there's no way you could sleep through the night without needing the bathroom. Medications can cause sleep problems. So Lasix, for example, will make you go to the bathroom, but steroids will keep you up. And we give a lot of steroids as well here. If you have depression and anxiety, they do affect sleep, but so does the medication for depression and anxiety. Caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol all affect stage 3. So even if you think you're sleeping well, you are not in that stage for 20 to 40 minutes. Lifestyle changes and primary disorders. So for lifestyle changes, I mean things like if you're recently retired, you know, when you're at work, you're running around all day, you have this huge social network, but now you're retired and you're home and you're not doing as many activities. So that's one example of a lifestyle change. Primary sleep disorders tend to be grouped in these four larger categories. Obstructive sleep apnea, that's for those folks that are snoring. A lot of them are on CPAP machines, and if they don't know it, they should be on a CPAP. But our body stops breathing while we sleep, and so we're not oxygenating, and then we'll wake up in a gasp trying to breathe. And if that happens all night long, you're not sleeping. Movement disorders, that could be something like restless leg, but it could also just be the movements where your muscles are twitchy or they feel painful and you keep trying to reposition yourself. Then there's all types of insomnia. You can't fall asleep, or you do fall asleep, but you wake up a lot, or you wake up too early. And then other less common rapid eye movement sleep behavior disorders. So like the night terrors, the sleepwalking, the sleep driving, and other sorts of things like that, narcolepsy and snoring. So 50 to 70 million Americans have sleep disorders. And older adults are more likely to get prescriptions, but there are no prescriptions that are safe for older adults for sleep except for one. And it's this one. I wasn't really going to talk about any medical advice, but I feel it's our duty as nurses to say that this is the one that has been found to be safe for older adults. There is something called Beers criteria. It's spelled like beer with an S, like root beers. And they will list every drug that's not recommended for older adults, but this one is the one that's deemed safe because it has not been associated with any sort of trauma, such as a patient falling. Okay. And as we age, we want to go to sleep earlier. And it's because we're waking up earlier. So our body is trying to tell us to shift, right? So if you're addicted to any nighttime shows, this might be the time to consider taping them because our body is really telling us to please go to bed earlier. But we get less nighttime sleep in stage 3, which is the deep sleep. So because of that, older adults need to nap, and we call that sleep debt, just like money. You need a certain amount of money, but this is all you have. So with sleep, they don't get enough. They make up for it with a nap. If you're not sleeping well at night, during the day, you'll have less alertness, a delayed reaction. So if you were to start to trip and fall, you might not be able to correct yourself, and reduce mental performance. We don't necessarily mean if you have one bad night. It's when you repeatedly have a poor sleep cycle. Poor sleep has been linked to injuries, cardiovascular death, and mental changes. So we know that poor sleep contributes to cardiovascular health disease, heart attacks, morbidity, mortality. Poor sleep leads to obesity, which also leads to heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. So really getting the good night's sleep is now considered the one of the most important health changes we all can make. Eating better, not smoking, and better sleep. So what are some of the things you all can do in the evening? You want to still balance your activity and rest. You don't want to be doing heavy exercise in the evening. If you are napping, the National Institute of Aging says to limit it to 15 to 20 minutes. Some research will say 45 minutes. And if you think back to that sleep cycle, you want to wake up in stage 2 from a nap if you can. So if you are a person who naps and you wake up groggy, and I've heard people say, I feel worse when I nap, is because they're sleeping too long and getting up in stage 3. So you also want to limit the naps, because the longer you sleep during the day, the more it affects your sleep at night. And it's just this kind of vicious cycle. Social interaction is good in the evening, when we all know connecting with other people is important for mental health. It's the same for anyone and has a positive effect on sleep. You want to avoid caffeine in the afternoon and evening. And this is really hard, even for the nurses. When I present to the nurses, so many of them tell me they have coffee with dinner, or we go out for our nursing programs and they serve iced tea or Coca-Cola and other sodas. All of that has caffeine, and it'll affect you falling asleep. But again, cutting down that stage 3. Large meals affect sleep, and heavy exercise within 3 hours. But at bedtime, there are other things we might be able to try if you're interested. The most important thing is going to bed at the same time, and that's part of your sleep hygiene, is routine. Studies show that if your bedtime changes by more than 2 hours, you're not going to have healthy sleep. And this is hard for shift workers. So if you happen to work nights and then you're up during the day normally, it's a 2-hour time frame. You want to turn off the bright lights and blue lights. So your phone, the TV, if you could. If you're on your phone, turn on that night mode. And things that help us relax are like reading, prayer, meditation, soft music, or white noise. Lots of people love warm milk and teas. They have a natural melatonin to it. And melatonin is the chemical in our body that tells us to go to bed. Warm blankets if you're cold. And this is one of my favorites. You set the room temperature to your preference. I was always raised that the best temperature for sleep is 65 to 68 degrees, and I always froze. So if you sleep better at 72, go ahead and set your thermostat to that. But again, use a fan or a blanket, depending. Aromatherapy blended has been shown to be more effective than a singular aromatherapy. And a common one at bedtime is a mixture of lavender, jasmine, and vanilla. And then use the bathroom before you go to bed. You don't want to get all cozy in bed, read a book, start to get drowsy, and then realize you didn't brush your teeth. So kind of do all that before you get into bed. Right. And this is a little bit what I was talking about with melatonin. So on the left, the sunlight or blue light from your phones hits the back of the eye, the retina, and tells the nuclear-rafis it's time to wake up, and serotonin circulates throughout your whole body. When it's nighttime, when it's dark and we don't have the blue light and the artificial lights, the back of our retina tells the pineal gland it's time for bed, and melatonin is released. So why is light such importance? Not just to tell the melatonin and the serotonin when to activate, but light during the day helps with alertness and mood. So if you're trying to fall asleep, that's not going to cut it. And blue light from our phones, from our TVs, they send the same signal to the retina in the back of the eye that it's daytime. And so your phone acts like the sunshine. And that's why we want to limit that at night. Okay. And the phones have really only been around for a couple decades. And whether you're on it for work or not, people get addicted to Candy Crush and all those kinds of things, and they think it's helping them relax, but the brain is getting confused. It's dark outside, but I have this blue light in my eyes. There's been some other research about lights that we recommend everyone have night lights just for safety, but red night lights have been found to not disrupt your sleep and melatonin levels as much as other colors of the rainbow. So a red night light, you want to limit or get off your phone 2 to 3 hours before bed. And if you work nights, consider using the blue blocking glasses when you're working on the computers. And those are relatively inexpensive in the scheme of things, whether it's prescription or not. All right. And during the day, get lots of bright light. There's been some studies about getting bright light before noontime every day if you're a day shift worker. There is something called light therapy. I put a picture here, but the first bullet says talk to your doctor before you spend your money, but they're on Amazon. And you really, the instructions kind of say sit in front of it 20 to 40 minutes a day. It does not have harmful UV rays, and it's to help people get the light that they're not getting. So I listed a bunch of disorders: insomnias, circadian rhythm disorders, seasonal affective disorders. We talk about winter time causing more blues or depression, and it's because of the less sunshine. This could be something a doctor might prescribe. Jet lag, if you're a person who works nights and days, that sort of thing, and then Alzheimer's and dementia. There are many foods you could eat to help you improve your sleep, and most of them have natural melatonin levels. Tart cherries, above average. Tart cherry juice, milk, malted milk, and warm milk. I haven't had a good malt milkshake in years. I don't even know if people still make those. New Zealand is the kiwi capital of the world. They did a study, and 2 kiwis at bedtime help you fall asleep faster, sleep more, and better sleep quality. Fatty fish, nuts. Nuts have lots of minerals in them, but melatonin's one. And some of the over-counter melatonin medications also will have some magnesium and zinc in them. I'm not at all recommending over-the-counter. When over-the-counter melatonin came out, it was meant to be a short-term use, and that is something you would talk to your doctor about. But all these foods have natural melatonin. Rice helps with falling asleep, but not if you have a sugary or a sweet with it. So sweet and sour chicken and rice won't do it, but maybe rice and beans and chicken will help. And then the last one is tryptophan. And most of us probably think about this with the big turkey dinner if you celebrate Thanksgiving. It's the old joke, like you have a Thanksgiving dinner and then you just want to sit on the couch and fall asleep or watch football. But all these other foods I have listed here have tryptophan as well. The broccoli, the mushrooms, cheeses. So these are all things we could add to our diet that are still healthy. And then comfort when you're sleeping. You could elevate your head of the bed to your preference using an extra pillow if you need it. Our bodies were naturally made to sleep flat. So too many pillows have other harmful effects on your shoulders and your neck, for example. Massages help, and even giving yourself your own massage with a shoulder massage device or one that goes in a chair. There's foot massages. All those are very relaxing, stimulating different nerves in your body. Warm and cool compresses if you're having pain. And then there are a number of apps just about progressive relaxation. So usually those start with the forehead and work your way down to your toes. So they'll tell you, squeeze your forehead, relax it. Squeeze your eyes tight, relax. And it'll talk you through that. And it really helps the muscles to let go. Guided imagery could be things like talking you about walking down the beach and mindfulness. There's actually some research on sleep. I just put this here for the fun of it. I'm not quite convinced, but it's there. Blue pajamas are more calming than other colors. And they said, especially for kids, but all the kids I know wanted fire trucks and Superman and not necessarily light blue for calming. But we do know that bold colors are stimulating in general. And the best pajamas are cotton bamboo because they're breathable and less likely for you to wake up sweating. Then there's weighted blankets. And I would caution this for our older adults that might not have the strength. These blankets are heavy. So if they were to fall off the bed, the bending down to lift them up is something to consider. But they apply gentle pressure evenly across the body. And these are used in a lot of sensory disorders, but also anxiety and depression, autism, dementia, sensory disintegration. It calms all those nerves. And when we're calm, we fall asleep. So even if you don't have any of these disorders, they still help. And they increase melatonin. So the weighted blankets kind of work like a straitjacket too, or a tight hug from a mom who has a child that's having a breakdown. That tight hug is what's soothing the brain. So white noise machines. White noise, the broad definition is it's a constant background noise. And it could be something as simple as static or a fan, or it could be repetitive like ocean waves or babbling brook. There are other color noises. So white noise is a big umbrella term, but there's also pink, brown, and green. And I wrote here on this slides, if the slides are shared with you, they all seem to affect positively sleep and memory and relaxation. And so most of the white noise machines will have white, pink, and brown. I think green is the newest one they're studying. And just to back up, the differences of frequencies. So white noise is even frequencies. Pink has more of the higher. Brown has less of the higher, or these have less of the higher. And green noise is more the middle frequencies. So the white noise machines has those. They have, if you look at the buttons, they have music, they have nature sounds, they have fans. They have like a washer and dryer noise. They have even someone snoring, which I thought was interesting because that would be hard for me. But if you're used to someone snoring and they're not there, then maybe that does help relax you. But the idea of the white noise machine is really to block out other distractions. So if you live on a noisy street, it's going to calm your mind and block out those sounds. People use them in the office if they want to have a private conversation so people outside can't hear it. So they're acting as a barrier. Here are some apps. I'm not endorsing any in particular, but I'm just giving you a selection. These are all free last time I checked. My sleep button is imagining random sounds. So it might say something like a beach ball. And then every 7 seconds, it's telling you to imagine the ball in your mind. And then it'll change it and say like a tricycle. Then you imagine a tricycle. And it's helping you not focus on the stressors. So it's distracting you. All of these turn off you can set them for 15 minutes, 30 minutes. So you don't have to worry about, my phone's going to be on all night long, if that's a stressor that will keep you awake. There's another one we just studied. I didn't write it here. It's called Arca Shift. And it's just a habit forming type app, and it'll help you tell you, okay, stop with the caffeine. So it's the reminders for the healthy habits. And here's other things you could do. If light bothers you, try an eye mask. If there's a lot of noise, put earplugs. Lip balm, because if our lips are chapped, we're going to be waking up licking them. The aromatherapy. If you're a patient in the hospital, you could ask for this night kit and we will give you all of this. Blackout shades, they do not have to be black, but they block extra light. And this, I think, is so good for those that work the night shift. And I call this rules of three. I made it up. Don't Google it. You're not going to see it. But based on all the literature I'm reading, this is a broad rule. No napping after 3 p.m. and no caffeine after 3 p.m. Now, I know that's hard because, like I said, all my friends drink Coke and coffee with dinner. But if you could try any of these for a week or two, and if it makes an improvement, that's great. And 3 hours before bedtime, the no heavy exercise, no heavy meals. And I know that's a cultural thing too, because I know, like even in Europe, they're eating heavy meals at 9 p.m. at night. But a lot of countries or cultures do it more during lunchtime, the heavier meal. No alcohol, 3 hours before bedtime. That probably is going to be the worst habit because, what's the alternative? Alcohol with lunch and breakfast? The smoking also does it, and then the blue light. So just broad, but pick one you want to try and maybe do the white noise machine or a weighted blanket and see what could help you.
Thank you for viewing the sessions. We offer Live Meet the Expert sessions through Zoom. To see a full list of upcoming sessions, please visit moffitt.org or call at 813-745-1690. Thank you.